Hello, my name is Jake Thornton. I am a Hollywood screenwriter and aspiring author. And the other day, I was inspired to start to kind of share some of the tools that I think I've developed emotionally to deal with the ups and downs of the creative life. So I put that first video out on YouTube and some people liked it, so I thought I'd record another one. And this is something that I want to talk about, which are rather the three words that can change your life and allow you to accept everything that's going on around you. And I'll talk about those in a little while. The other day I talked about this fantastic book called The Miracle Morning. It's by a guy called Hal Elrod. Is that reversed? I don't know if that's reversed or not. I hope it's not. We'll see. See on the final video. But The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And what I discovered when I read it was that I was already doing so many of the things that he talked about. To be clear, I'm not promoting his book in any way or getting paid to. I'm just talking about a book I read recently that I liked. So if you like what you're hearing and you're curious, go and grab a copy. It really was very impactful for me. But like I said, there were a bunch of things in it that were things I was already doing. Anyway, let me start off by telling you a story. This is a story from about 2 years ago in 2022. And it's the story of me going to the premiere of my very first movie. Or not, as the case may be. So, in late 2020, my longtime writing partner, Ben, and I had sold a movie called The Princess. There's the poster for it behind me over there. It was going to be made to come out on Hulu and on Disney Plus internationally. And we got a chance to go to Bulgaria to see it filmed. And in June of 2022 was the date of the premiere. And I was so excited. This kind of feels like the moment that you've been working towards. The moment that I've been working towards for pretty much my entire career at that point. 8 years at that point. And my wife was going to be coming down with me. And my dad was in town from the UK. And I asked Disney if he could come to the premiere. And they said yes. And my brother was going to fly down from Santa Cruz to LA to come and see it. And it was just this great vision. And I was so excited to have this thing, the kind of culmination of all of my hard work. And in the week leading up to the event, I actually went away with my dad to an Airbnb in Mount Hood, Oregon. And during that time, I got a message from my wife, and my wife said she wasn't feeling very well. Could I come back and help her look after the kids? So I did, and it was suddenly revealed when I got back home that my wife had COVID. It was the very first time that she had COVID, and the kids had COVID as well. They got it from someone at school. And I went, okay, I'm going to kind of keep away from you and sleep in another room, sleep downstairs, because I don't want to get COVID, because if I get COVID, I won't be able to go to the premiere. So 3 days before the premiere was about to happen, I had to take a test. Someone actually had to come over to the house and give me a swab. And I was really nervous. I didn't have any symptoms at all. I felt absolutely fine. And after she left, this woman left, said the results would be a couple of hours. I really made this decision that no matter what happened, I was going to be okay with the outcome. I was going to choose to be okay with the outcome. Choose to be fine with the fact that I was not going to go and be able to attend the premiere of the movie that I'd co-written. And sure enough, 2 hours later, I got the news that indeed I did have COVID. And in that moment, I did what any normal person would do, and I totally burst into tears. I was so angry and upset. It felt so unfair to have worked for so long and so hard, and then not to be able to go to celebrate this event, walk the red carpet, do the media interviews, all that stuff. But then very quickly I reminded myself of the promise I'd made. And after I'd let myself feel all those feelings, I just let it go. I just moved on from it and went, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And that's really what I want to share with you today, is the importance of being able to do that in this industry and in any kind of creative work. So particularly, I talk about Hollywood because that's been my experience as a writer, and there've been some wonderful highs and some really crushing lows, of which that was one. And it's when the lows hit you that you need to really develop this set of tools to be able to go, how can I then move forward filled with all the great creative energy that I have to continue to create more, to write more, to produce more. Because we can only do that when we're in, I think, a really great place. Not to say you can't write angry. I'm sure people do, But I think the best version of it is when you draw from those experiences 100%, but from a place of creativity and just connection with your best self. So, in Hal Elrod's book, he talks about the importance of accepting reality exactly as it is. And he says that when we don't do that, we are in this kind of state of inner turmoil because we're rejecting what actually is. We're rejecting what's happening. But just because we're rejecting what's happening doesn't change that it's happening. It doesn't change that the script hasn't sold, or on day one of production the funding falls through, or the fact that the lead actor you had has dropped off. Whatever it is, it's not going to change those things. And if you're able to accept life exactly as it is in that moment, you're then free to choose what state of life you want to be in. He goes on to talk about there are these kind of ABCs for doing this. And all these books, they're such fans of these little kind of acronyms or little things. I guess it helps you remember them. But the ABCs of this are: A is accept life exactly as it is. And then B stands for be grateful for everything you have in your life. We talked about that a little bit on the video the other day. If you haven't seen that, do go and check that out. I was talking about my morning routine, but one of the things I talk about that is what I write that I'm grateful for every day, and I think it's really important to do that. And C, choose the state of life that you want to be in, because actually you have a choice. You have a choice about how you feel about something. We often view things as well, kind of talking about this, from negative standpoints of things that are happening in the moment. But perhaps years hence, you might be able to look back on an event that happened in your life, in your career, and go, oh, wow, I didn't know that at the time, but actually that was a fabulous and most amazing impetus for change. Had that thing not happened, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I love where I am today. So that happened to me a few years ago. It happened to me about 4 years ago. I was attached to showrun and write and produce the Final Fantasy TV series for Sony TV. Oh, it was such a good script. Oh, I loved that project so much. And Ben and I had been attached to it for about 4 years. We first started doing it. We started working on it in 2016, and it didn't end up going out to market till 2020. That's how slow Hollywood can move sometimes. That was a rare exception. Anyway, we had this wonderful script. We had a great producer, a whole team of wonderful producers working with Sony TV. We were so excited. And the week it went to market was the week that Hollywood shut down over COVID. And all of the studios were zipping up their purse strings and saying, we're not buying anything right now. And then, unfortunately, the rights lapsed and it all fell apart. And this dream, this thing I'd held in my heart for so long, completely fell apart in my hands. And I had a real moment of going, I don't even know if I want to be a screenwriter anymore. And I decided Then after that, and again, COVID was happening too, to move away from LA. So I packed my family in a 40-foot Thomas school bus, converted school bus that we had, and we drove up to a little city called Camas, Washington, where I live to this day. And it's been the best thing for my life. And it's been the best thing for my family. I love it here. My kids love it here. I've been able to give my kids a life here that I never would have been able to do in LA. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's green, it's so wholesome. My kids play in the street outside. I'd never let them do that in a million years in LA. And I just have the kind of life that I go, oh wow, it can be like this. But it never would have happened had Final Fantasy sold. Never would have happened. And I'm so grateful, and I regret absolutely nothing. So that was a real kind of crushing moment, but that turned into something positive. Now, the reason I go back into kind of telling that story is because you go, there are things that are happening in your life that you think are negative, but that actually in the end could be incredibly, incredibly positive. And all you can see right now is the perceived negative effect. I've been listening to this great little short lecture, I guess, by Wayne Dyer. It's on Audible, if you have an Audible membership. And it's called I'll See It When I Believe It. I'll See It When I Believe It. I just love the title of that. But he talks about, what is a thought? And what is the past? And what is the future? And he says, well, the past doesn't exist anymore. It's just a thought. It's just a memory. What's a memory? It's a thought. And the future doesn't exist either. Again, it's just imagination. It's just a thought. It's all conjecture. None of it is real. So the past isn't real anymore in this moment, nor is the future. So how can you choose to view those things that have happened in your past? How can you choose to view the supposed negative things that might be happening in your career, in the accomplishment of your dreams, and go, okay, there's nothing I can do about that. That's happened. And the future hasn't happened yet either, so I'm going to create that from now onwards. But what are the 3 words? What's the whole thing about this entire purpose of this video? Well, the 3 words are can't change it. Can't change it. In The Miracle Morning, Hal Elrod talks about what he does whenever he gets bad news, and this technique he learned from a mentor of his. And I want to share it now because I think it's great. Whenever you get bad news of any kind, you are to give yourself 5 minutes where you 100% feel all of those emotions to the biggest extent you possibly can. You are allowed to scream. You are allowed to cry. You're allowed to beat up a pillow. Get it all out. Fully feel it. Fully feel it. And then, after the timer goes off, you say to yourself, can't change it. You accept reality exactly as it is in that moment. Now, that's not to say you have to be happy about the thing that's just happened. We're not talking about blissful denial of current circumstances. But if you can accept it, even if in that moment you're going, I want to change it, and maybe there are things you can do to change it. But if you can accept reality as it is in that moment and acknowledge that in that moment you cannot change it, you cannot change the past, you cannot change what's happened, you can then choose what optimal state of life you want to be in and go, well, actually now I'm going to blank. Insert your chosen course of action right here. But you can only really make those decisions and approach it from the state of life that you're in if you're able to accept life just as it is in that moment. That's really what I wanted to share today. Go and grab a copy of The Miracle Morning. There's other things I'm going to be talking about too. I know I've talked about this on both of these episodes, but I'm not working in any way with with how on this. It's just something that I think has really affected me. So anyway, grab a copy, Miracle Morning. And yes, how can we find the strength to accept life just as it is in this moment and then create the life in the future that we want to create? All right, speaking of creation, go out there, write something, do something, make something, and do it from your highest and your best self. Have a great day.